All right, all right. It is Thursday. We're back. Vicky Black, Jennifer J, Digital Marketing Network, talking more things AI. So today, I think today is Thursday. So we're doing the advanced class for the advanced kids today. We're talking about some things that a lot of people always leave out. Analytics. A lot of people always stop at the action on the site, but people need to go behind the curtain, look at the analytics, see what people are doing, and then also testing. So talking about A/B testing. So we're just talking about some of those advanced things. So Jennifer J, so what do you do in the way of analytics? What is your standard practice? How do you get down with your analytics?
Yeah, so of course, it's no secret. I use the Go High Level system, which that makes it so much easier to see your analytics and to see your traffic and to also measure the source of your traffic and to create those channels so you know where your traffic is coming from. I think that's the most important step in analyzing your analytics, right? Just identifying how I'm going to set this up first so that I can analyze where the traffic is coming from and then make adjustments. So for me, I use the back end of high level the analytics. So if I'm like right now, I have a webinar coming up. So I want to analyze how much traffic is coming to that page, how much is converting, how many people are converting, meaning how many people are filling out the information and saying, yes, I want to come to this webinar, or how many people are just going to the page and doing nothing, because it tells you that, right? It tells you how many unique views you have, how many new views you have, and how many of those people actually took the action. So analyzing that on a daily basis so you know what your traffic is looking like based off of your activity, I think is huge in knowing what's working and what's not working.
Yeah, and I like how you stated it, just like so you can understand how to set up. I think a lot of people are intimidated by analytics and really make it to be more complicated than it needs to be. Yeah, so I use Go High Level, and I really like specifically the way Go High Level sets the KPIs, specifically in the different type of opportunity funnels that you set up. So I use that a lot. I also use Google Analytics, or what they call GA. A lot of the kids say GA4. You got the GA4. So, but I use it, and I notice it integrates nicely with Go High Level. A lot of times I'll just go into Google Analytics, do the dashboard by itself. But it's interesting to see the performance, not only in terms of the drivers. So if you're doing a Facebook campaign, you're doing an email campaign, seeing how things behave, but also in terms of the way your SEO is performing. So it'll also tell you in regard to your search traffic, what keywords or what long tail phrases are driving people to your site. You ever use anything outside? Go like you ever use the Google Analytics? You ever use the GA4?
No, I never used the GA4. But I am still working on my keywords. So that's interesting that you mentioned that, because that's something that I'm definitely interested in doing. I've been trying to figure out my keywords for a minute here now, and I think I'm finally gaining some traction. So just utilizing Google Analytics from what you're stating is going to help me understand if those are working, as opposed to getting like the expensive software to measure it. But when you stated Google Analytics too, I wanted to also talk about Facebook, right? So analyzing your ads. I prefer to go into Go High Level's dashboard as opposed to the native dashboard, right? Of course, you have to set your ads up in the native
Mhm.
dashboard, but the way that High Level presents it makes it easier to understand, and it's not so intimidating, right? So when you go into these dashboards, like especially with Facebook or Meta, you have to kind of configure what you see and know what to do and all of these things. But when you set it up and then you look at it inside of High Level, it just puts it where you know, like, okay, this is how much I spent. This is how many people came. This is how many people clicked. This is how much it's costing me. This is how many people converted. It's just really clear cut to understand. And
Yeah.
I wanted to address one more thing you said when you said, you know, people are, they make analytics out to be more than it is. Look, analytics is just a sexy word of saying, what are your numbers, right?
Mhm.
It's numbers. That's all it is. And those numbers help us understand what we need to do more of and what we need to direct our attention toward, right? It's no different if you were on a in New York on the corner dancing in a costume and you did this one dance and people just started throwing money as opposed to you doing another dance. No one was giving you any money. So you would go back to doing the dance that people was giving you money. That's the simplest way I could think of it, right? That's all it is. Doing what works and what's going to continue to feed.
Exactly. And speaking of figuring out what works, one of the things that leads me to the next point, A/B testing. So a lot of people don't think about A/B testing, but a lot of times when you've got a campaign, you've got a landing page or an email, and you're sending it out to massive groups, a lot of times people will test two different versions, whether it be two different versions of a picture, two different versions of a headline, to see which one people actually open up. And then sometimes if you're doing a small execution, it doesn't really matter. If you only got 10 people on your email list, it doesn't matter. But if you've got 10,000, 20,000 people on your email list, it can make a big difference that people test. And so a lot of times they'll have a mechanism right inside of High Level where you can set the two content options, it'll test, and then you get to see what people respond to. So for instance, like your dance analogy, which dance are people doing or responding to, you can test the two options at the same time. And then you have that learning for next time, you know, hey, do people like the headline with the emoji in it or do they not like it? And then you have those numbers. You ever use A/B testing at all?
Yeah, I use it on both landing pages and I've used it in email as well. And it is an excellent tool to understand like what works and what doesn't work, right? But again, you only test on one item. You don't make multiple changes. So once you get your product, your page, your email up, or you figured out, okay, this is the email I'm going to send, you test one thing, right? I'll give you a prime example. So I'm testing out my messaging and my uh videos, right? And so now there's this new thing where people don't really want to see the professionally edited videos anymore, like if you're
Yeah.
doing shorts and reels and things like that. And so it's something simple as, do people want captions now or do they not want captions? So just testing that out, posting the same video with captions and then posting the same video without captions to see what performs better, right? It's the same process with your, let's just say, landing pages. You just change the header or you just change an image and then you let it run and then you say, okay, well, which one performed better with this change? Okay, we know that works. Now let's test something else. So if you want to make it better, now you go down to changing something else. So if you change just the heading, this time you want to leave the heading that was good. Now just change the pictures and test that. So if you guys are like I don't even know how to test. That is the best way to do that test. And then, of course, you have to have software that's going to support that. And so, again, we're talking Go High Level. We use Go High Level for this. You can A B test in your funnels and you can A B test in your emails as well.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the way Go High Level has it set up is pretty simple, straightforward. Like in the workflows, you can you can choose the different options. I like it how it makes it very easy for you. So now, has there what kind of learning? So, like, say for instance, I did an email campaign and I was testing emojis versus not emojis. No wonder emojis win. People see the emoji, they're more engaging, and all those other things. What kind of things have you tested in the AB the streams, and what kind of learnings have you found?
Yeah, so I'm testing currently my webinar. Do people want to wait and come see that webinar live, or do they want to just watch it now? So you would think they want to just watch it now. No, they want to wait and come see it live. So that's what I've learned in my testing. I've also done testing for a customer in email, and I found we were just testing the headlines, and so people relate better to headlines or things that are happening in their own community versus online. So what I mean by that is if I said attend my webinar just for Snellville, this is your exclusive invitation, right? That's right in my city. But if I said attend my exclusive event online, for that particular audience, because again, you have to know your audience and know what to
Mm-hmm.
test on them. For that particular audience, they, even though it was like an online group, they still were more interested in it being a local online group as opposed to just national.
That is interesting. That is interesting. That kind of reminds me of a piece of information. One of the marketers I'm working with pointed out that right now, even though big brands, have their lore, the people are more attracted to things that they know are tangible, local, that they can, engage with. So that's interesting to hear that there's still that need for something familiar, for something close by and local. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So I think that those are the major things that we were talking about today. Today was a little bit of an advanced master class in some of the things we often forget about. But anything else you want to drop on the people before we head out of here?
Yeah, we were also one of the things we didn't talk about was speed, right? Website speed. So I know that's
Yeah.
huge because when somebody goes to your website and it's taking forever to load, they're gonna be like, you know what, forget it. I'm not coming. So I think that's really, really huge. How has that affected, your working relationship with businesses?
So that's a good point. So it's not just the consumer that is worried about speed, but really Google algorithms actually will test your website. And if it is known to the robots and crawlers that your website takes too long to load, it will diminish your ranking in Google search. So if your content is just as good as somebody else's, but it takes say 10 seconds for your site page to load and the other competitor's site loads in like 2 milliseconds, they're going to push that traffic there because that site is being seen to perform better. And it's also just something that drives me crazy personally with other sites. And it's really impacted by the amount of extraneous scripts you have. So a lot of people have like the miscellaneous animations and tools and all these things that really can load your website down with a lot of extra JavaScript, a lot of extra code that takes time. but also making sure your images are loaded and optimized properly. There's even technology on the server side. So, like we mentioned, Go High Level has server side technology. You click the button and it makes sure that even though you might be loading a big full res image, the server is going to crunch that down, optimize it, and make sure that it can be delivered to browsers in an efficient way. So there's a couple of things you can do. And then there's another thing, it's sort of an advanced thing, but they call it lazy loading. And so for things like video and rich media, what they'll do is only load the first, say, second or two so that the user doesn't wait for the page to load, for the full asset to load. And then it'll stream in the data once that person is engaged with the page. But it is a big deal. Page speed is a big deal and can impact your Google rankings. It can impact your usability. It's a real thing. So I appreciate you breaking that up. It's a big one.
Yes, because I didn't realize how important it was. I kept seeing like high level focusing on increasing page speed, and they kept talking about it, and they kept sending messages and emails and videos. And I'm like, every day it was almost something about the increasing of the page speed and what they corrected on this end and corrected on that end. And I'm like, I guess I didn't really get it, right? And I'm like, okay, but I get it because all of those things do impact whether or not someone works with you, what their experience is, right? We're
Exactly.
so huge on their experience, and we want to make sure that their experience is a good one so that they'll tell others and they'll come back and just the satisfaction of it. And so when we're hiring as well, we need to make sure that we're hiring experts that have these things in mind, right? I'm
Yeah.
not a website designer. I'm not a web developer. I don't do those things. So that's not my area of expertise. So if you are in the market of doing that, just make sure that you are aware so that you can make sure that that person that you're working with is aware also.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So I think we gave the people a lot today. So we talked about Google Analytics, making sure you're looking at how your site is performing in that regard. We talked about A/B testing, whether it be landing pages, emails, really testing out whether it be your images, your copy, your conversions. And then the big one, talking about load speed, how your site is performing, how it impacts your search rankings, and just your overall user experience. I think that was a big day for some advanced learning.
It is. We gave the people a lot to think about over the weekend.
There you go. There you go. Nice long weekend. Again, it is Thursday. We are out of here. We'll see you Monday. We'll be back with more Digital Marketing Network. In the meantime, have an automated day. Catch you later.